Uh-oh, they're not supposed to be there. I know them. I see them. Hey, no, no, no. Let me have them. Got them. Go in your nest. Crazy. Crazy guy. Hi, and welcome back to Homestead to Health. My name is Caitlin, and I've got some bad news. So yesterday was actually just from the moment I woke up, I knew it was going to be a pretty heavy day. It was the 1-year anniversary that my beautiful mother-in-law passed away, and our you know what, I actually put makeup on to like deter myself from crying, and I'm not even like in it yet, and I'm already like welling up. But anyways, so before we even woke up, before anybody opened their eyes yesterday morning, we knew upon waking up that it was going to be a heavy day. But if you've been following along, you probably know already that like I've had a string of bad luck with animals passing away, with just things just not going very well, especially in the realm of life and death. So yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of my mother-in-law's passing, and that in and of itself is horrible and hard to handle. But I woke up yesterday also with the anticipation of just finding more animal death. So my entire flock had caught coccidia from a bad batch of chicks from Atwoods. At first I didn't know what it was, but after leaning on the understanding of other people, I came to find that it was in fact coccidia, even if the symptoms didn't match up exactly. And so I've treated my whole flock now, and everybody seems to be doing well. But the night before, on April 1st, the night before the terrible day, which was yesterday, I actually held one of my chicks as it passed away. I had tried to do what I could for it, and it perished. And that in and of itself was sad, but after having a couple of conversations with my husband, he assured me, like, this will pass, be encouraged, and even though it blows that we've had to learn a couple of lessons at the expense of these animals, we'll just go, we'll let this bout of disease kind of run its course. We'll be more prepared, and we'll just buy more chicks later on, and which is just kind of the way of things. It's what's going to have to happen. It's what happens for other people. But on top of a litter of rabbits that had died, and on top of all of the chickens that had died, I started noticing a couple of days ago that one of my boy goats had diarrhea, and so I was really, really, really concerned for him. So, but the very next day, which is April 2nd, I come out and he seems to be doing much better. His stool is coming back to normal. Mind you, I did administer a couple of things that I had found on the internet to be helpful, and I don't want to repeat it just because honestly now I realize how dangerous misinformation can be, and so I don't want to like put anything out there that could potentially harm somebody else's animals if they took that advice. Anyway, to get to the meat of the matter, that goat was actually fine, and he's still fine, and he's doing well, and I was celebrating it, and I was praising God for it. Thank you so much. But then I looked at Memphis, and Memphis is the tricolored buck. He is my favorite of the goats, other than mean old Rizzo and Sweet Unicorn. He was definitely up there. Nobody in my herd is not a favorite of mine. Let me just put it out there. But Memphis has a very special place in my heart. And I went out there, and like I said, I'm praising God that Herschel's doing better. And I happened to catch a quick glance at Memphis, and I noticed something's just off with him. And so I continue to watch him, and I noticed that he's having trouble urinating, and he's making distressed noises, and as time progresses over the course of a couple of hours, it just seems to worsen. I did take to Google, Dr. Google, and I try to follow a couple of things that it said, and again, I don't want to spread any kind of misinformation, but I took to Google, nothing was working, and I'm not typically one who rushes my animals to the vet. George used to go to George is my dog that I've had for 6-7 years now. I used to take George to the vet once a year for her yearly shots. Now she does it at home. But I think the most recent time I took her to the vet was because she had a hematoma in her ear that had swelled up. That was like a $600 surgery. But because I cherish George and I love George the way that I do, we immediately took her to the vet for that. That was, of course, vet worthy, and had to be done. But there's been a few times whenever we'll have a sick animal that we just have to make the judgment whether we should take it to the vet or not. But it's a very common condition in male goats because their urethra is so thin that things like that happen all the time. I'm going to go into more detail about that in just a minute. Just to kind of walk you through what happened for the rest of the day. Whenever I decided to take him to the vet, I loaded him up immediately and we went. And over the course of 4 or 5 hours, they tried to help him. They essentially circumcised him, which is to remove this thing called a pizzle. That didn't help. They had tried to remove some of the calcium. That's gunfire. He tried to remove some of the calcium and it just didn't work. They tried to do for him as much as they could and it wouldn't work. And the vet, to their credit, they told me that they're not as equipped as I wish that they could be for like a surgery to remove the calcium deposits from his bladder itself. But they had called somebody at the vet's office in Kilgore and one in College Station. And I know that y'all probably don't know. Okay, guy. I know that you probably don't understand what that is relative to our space, but basically they're several hours away right now during, what the world's going through. Travel's really not an option, and also the surgery could cost hundreds upon hundreds of dollars before anesthesia and aftercare and all that other stuff. But the vet said in conferencing with these different vets to not only get the prices and stuff outlined, he said that they all kind of came to the same decision and to the same conclusion that at 4 months old, if this was already an issue with him, that even after surgery and castrating him, which actually could amplify this affliction for him, that it would be a routine thing that I'm going to have to put up with for the rest of his life. But they said that there just wasn't a good outlook on it, that these people are willing to do these things. The vets were willing to go through with this procedure, but that they thought that it was more humane to euthanize him. And so that is the decision that we went with. So yesterday, I woke up to a terrible day, and I took my baby, and I took my Memphis to the vet, and he did not get to come home with me. Ugh, I need to cut all my hair off. So that's the story of yesterday. It was really, 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 really hard. But I'm also very honest with myself in where I'm not doing well. As far as when something goes wrong, it's just part of my character and my personality that I have to find a bad guy, And so whenever the chicks got sick, I had to know why they were getting sick, what caused it, where did it come from, and just with everything that's been happening outside, plants, I've got 1 or 2 plants in my greenhouse that aren't doing well, and because I have that find a bad guy mentality and I can't help it, I try to be like, oh, things just happen, but just the honest answer is that because I'm trying to find a bad guy, I often find myself and I am the bad guy. And but anyways, whenever it comes to Memphis and him dying because of the urinary blockage, that is my fault, and it's not because of anything that I did to be insidious or cruel to this animal. It wasn't hateful neglect at all. I thought that I was doing what I should do. But it turns out that apple cider vinegar in the water is not enough. I see it all over the place. People swear by it, but even the vet himself, he was like, that's not going to do it. I got my phone, so I made sure I said the right thing, because like I said, misinformation is, it's, in my experience, it's usually very well intended, but it can be extremely fatal. In fact, that is 100% my experience. Ammonium chloride. Ammonium chloride is what is necessary in order to keep urinary calculi out of your male goats and out of your herd. This can be found in most goat feeds, and so this is actually where I failed. This is something that they find in the wild whenever they're foraging. My goats are in pens. They don't get to forage, even though we treat them to brush and stuff. Like, we'll go out of our way to like chop it down for them when there's leaves present. There have not been leaves present on our brush because we're just now getting into spring, and so they haven't had a good amount of that. But ammonium chloride is present in goat feed. But here's the thing. I feed my goats, actually most of my animals, they get a blended food. And the reason I do that is in case something were to happen where there's not a component of that feed, that there's always something there. However, the feed blend that I was feeding my goats were alfalfa Timothy, which is okay, but I switched to alfalfa. And then I had textured goat feed, which has ammonium chloride in it. And then I had all stock feed, which doesn't. And actually, it was causing an imbalance in their diet. And what tipped the scale was during this time, because I can't find the textured goat feed, I was like, well, I'm going to use all stock sweet feed instead to fill in that gap. And within a week, it just took a week. So the feed that I had was wrong. It was an inappropriate diet. And that was my bad. That was a big my bad. That was a total fault on my part. But again, it wasn't out of a bad place or anything like that. It was just a mistake. And I cannot stress to you enough how upset I am with myself that I am learning all of these lessons at the expense of my animals having to die. As an animal lover, as a farmer, as a mother, as a person, that disrupts me and that brings me such great discomfort that honestly I felt a little ashamed that I'm living now a little bit behind a camera. I felt ashamed to talk about it, but at the same time I felt encouraged to. So I will say this also, because I've recently sold a goat and this woman was a first-time goat keeper as well. I've only been doing it for about 6 months now, and she's a first-time goat keeper. I made sure I sent her a message and I said, hey, that goat feed that I blend that I recommended you, stop it immediately. Do this instead, because this is a thing and it is fast and it is fatal. So I tried to warn this person and spread knowledge, and that's what I'm doing now. So if you haven't checked it out yet, if you're a first-time goat owner and you don't really know about urinary calculi, look it up. Make sure that you're giving them an appropriate food diet. I had to move into here because I was keeping the kids up from their nap. So if you're wondering what happens now, I've lost Memphis. He was 1 out of 2 of our little breeder bucks, and so he's gone. I've only got 7 out of 25 of my meat birds left. I've only got a couple of each of my egg-laying birds that are chicks that I had picked up, and honestly, I'm just not in a very good emotional place right now. So what's next? What's next for me? Well, to answer that, the next couple of days, I'm really just going to take it easy on myself. I've had a really hard time, and I need to love myself right now and just kind of like give myself time to not have to encourage people with my hurt. I just want to be a little selfish right now and stop feeling like a failure. If that's at least a little possible. But in all honesty, in reality, this time I'm leaning heavily on my faith, and I would just like to give myself pause so that I may heal myself in that way, and so that I may come to God about it and really just kind of have my time with Him. But in all happy news though, I did go outside today. Today is April 3rd. So I did go outside today and I got to check out all of my animals. My goat boy, Herschel, he's doing great. All my girly goats are doing great. My chickens are finally doing well. Today is the first day that I was able to go outside and there's no death. And I mean, who knows, maybe this is a turning point for me where everything's going to start looking a little better. But I do want to end on a happy note, and so here's my happy note for you. I have a couple of building projects coming up that one I'm going to try out first. It's something that I saw on Pinterest, and so I'm going to give it a go. And then the next great project that I'm going to be doing is when my husband comes home, we will be building and recording how I built my chicken brooder, which I'm super proud of. But also in the next 11 days, I'll finally be able to put some vegetables down in my in-ground garden, and so I'm super excited about that. That's going to be absolutely amazing, and that's really something that I'm looking forward to. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Like I said, I have great things coming up in the future, and also I want y'all to stick around so that y'all can see me like a phoenix just rise from this crap pile. But anyways, alright guys, thank y'all so much for hanging out with me. I'll see y'all later.